And who else invites me to call him Father? Only a holy God, only my hope.
Everyone, good to see you. Welcome back. And let's please welcome back Brian Clark.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I woke up this morning, it was the crack of noon, and I zigzagged my way across the living room. Through a haze of coffee, I gazed out upon the scene, and I asked myself, is this my life or just the way it seemed? And the more I thought about the circumstances, the worse it seemed to be, and I was bouncing like a beach ball on the beach of broken dreams. And looking in the mirror, a voice inside me said, you got to get your hands around those thoughts inside your head. And as you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. Now I was knocking on my baby's door, and it was late one night, and there were voices in the darkness. Well, something wasn't right, and through a crack in the door she said, baby boy, won't you just go home, 'cause now's not a good time, and anyway I'm not alone. And I backed away in silence, tears rolling down my face. I'm asking, what did I do to end up in such a place? It's like endless mental torture. It's like a recurring broken dream, like a bowling ball of humiliation, knocking down my self-esteem. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. Now all those same situations coming time and time again, do they seem to be a part of you, almost like your middle name? And you know you want to change it, but somehow it doesn't change, and you have water in your basement every time it rains. Well, it's then we must decide which way we want to go. Back into that circle, or maybe dive into the flow of absolute perfection, where the winds of love flow. I'm more than good enough, say it till you know. As you believe, it will be done. By the way, if you sing along, you get free coffee downstairs. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. We're taking notes now. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe, it will be done. As you believe. If you look down underneath your pew, you're going to find your free cup of coffee.
Thank you, Brian Clark. We are so happy to have you back. Yeah, give him another hand. Great. We love you, Brian. We really are so happy to have you back. He always just chooses the music that absolutely matches the message, whether we talk or not. So I think we're communicating in another way, right? So thank you. So if we haven't met, welcome to everyone, first of all, those of you in the sanctuary, those of you out in the world. We're so happy that you chose to spend your Sunday morning with us. We know you had a lot of other choices, and we just especially welcome our first-time guests. I see some today, and so welcome. You will find a guest information card in the pew in front of you. It's yellow, and if you're willing to fill it out, you can choose on the back what you want and don't want to receive from us. One of the things you can receive is our Daily Word magazine, which you will hear from in a few minutes from our prayer chaplain. And if you would like to check that little box, we would be honored to send you a complimentary year subscription. It's a daily just meditation that really, I could hardly start my day without it. So a lot of us are really enriched by it. So also, if you are here and you need prayer for any reason, we have a highly trained prayer chaplain right after service who's available to pray with you. And of course, all prayers are kept confidential. If you're watching online, we offer you the same two options. We'll be happy to send you a year's subscription to the Daily Word if you hit the Contact Us section on our website, unitystl.org. And we have a Need Prayer link also, and we will hold you in prayer for 30 days. So we're all about prayer around here. Unity was founded on the idea of prayer. So, upcoming events are on the screen. I'm just going to highlight a few. Today, LUT candidate, wave hope, please. People in the sanctuary can see you. And I, together, are leading a 1-hour Unity 101. I don't know if I even want to call it a class. It's more like a conversation. But we have a few handouts for you, and just to cover the highlights of what Unity really teaches. And so everybody's welcome to come. If you've been in Unity a long time and you just want to come for a review or to add your own 2 cents, you're welcome to. We are providing youth childcare. And Diana, I think Diana Robinson's right there. Thank you, Diana. Give her a hand. She's going to do the childcare for us. Appreciate it. People who do childcare have to have background checks, so Diana has had one, so I really appreciate that. So please join us for an hour. It's only an hour, and we would love to have you. By the way, if your parents just drop your kids off in the youth ed area where they normally go, 10 to 12 or so, and have enough time to get up to the adult classroom by noon. Okay, next week, I know it's Super Bowl now, take a deep breath. We're going to have a very brief 15-minute or so hospitality meeting because we need to meet really before the board meets because the board approves what the hospitality decides. So that will be next week on February 11th. And hopefully, all of you received an email. If you're on our email list, we're having another after-church meeting on the 18th after service in the sanctuary to discuss and take a look at where we are in our spiritual community and finances and how we're moving forward and all of that. So we hope everybody can come to that. And as you can see from the upcoming events list, we have book club. It's next week. Women and men's nights are on February 19th, and we're hosting a Route 66 jazz concert on February 23rd. So we are absolutely not sitting still, are we? We're moving forward as usual. Finally, one more event sponsored by our First Unity Board of Trustees. We're going to have a spring potluck brunch on March 3rd after service. We'll have a sign-up sheet out next week. Bring salads, casseroles, dishes, desserts, anything that you would like to bring that's edible. It would be wonderful if you would choose some of the recipes from our First Unity cookbook. It's not an absolute requirement. If you have a favorite recipe and you didn't manage to get in the cookbook and you want to bring it, fine. But we'd like to kind of have some from the cookbook, which would be fun. Okay, you can always find all of our events on our website, Facebook, and in our newsletter. So that's all done. Now, one more announcement, and that is Sarah, our wonderful office manager, has asked me to announce that there's a sign-up sheet in the lobby. Some of you have already found it, for those of you who want a 2023 contribution statement. So just sign your name, and she'll get that to you in the mail. And because it's the first of the month, this is good because we do have several guests today. I'd like us to go over together our vision, mission, and core values. So ready? Here goes. Vision first. In oneness of spirit, We celebrate a world awakened to infinite possibilities and our mission. We are a vibrant, inclusive spiritual community, enriching lives through positive prayer, education, and service. And now our core values, starting from the top and going clockwise, and you kind of stand on your head for this, but I know you can do it. Ready? Spirit-led, love, oneness, acceptance, welcoming, and spiritual growth. Those really encapsulate who we are as a spiritual community, and every decision we make is based on those. And I think I forgot to say, we are an unapologetically inclusive spiritual community. Everyone is welcome here. And I think you feel that when you walk in the door, hopefully. So thank you for all of that. I want to invite everybody to stand now, if you're willing and able, for our first community song, Witness, one of my favorites, by Daniel Nahmad, led by Julie Godey. Thank you, Julie, and accompanied by our wonderful music director, Steve Schenkel. Thank you both.
This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. Letting it in, letting it flow, letting it go where it will go, letting the power of your presence show the way. Letting it in, letting you know, I'm letting you lead, that I might follow, being a witness to your presence every day. This soul is a witness to my holy purpose, to all that I'm born to be. This soul is a witness to my holy purpose, to all that I'm born to be. Letting it in, letting it flow, letting it go where it will go, letting the power of your presence show the way. Letting it in, letting you know, I'm letting you lead, that I might follow, being a witness to your presence every day. My life is a witness to my rightful purpose, to all that I've come to be. My life is a witness to my rightful purpose, to all that I've come to be. I will bear witness to your love, I will bear witness to your love, I will bear witness to your love for all my life. I will bear witness to your love, I will bear witness to your love, I will bear witness to your love for all my life.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am Hope Dodson. I'm your prayer chaplain for the day. So I will be over by this window after service, and for any prayer needs you may have. Could be something light and joyful, or anything heavy and troubling. So, and as always, all prayers are kept in strictest confidence. And in that spirit, I would like just a little reminder that if you're sitting over by the areas where the chaplains are, if you could quickly move away from those areas after the service is over. And then that gets us a little more privacy. All right, so today's daily word is joy. The affirmation is, joy is mine through all the seasons of life. Let's say that together. Joy is mine through all the seasons of life. Throughout my life, joy is always part of me. Like the sun that is always shining even when obscured by clouds. Joy is there in my happiest moments and also during my darker times. It keeps me present to life as it unfolds, responsive and adaptive, accepting what I cannot change and having the courage to change what I can. Much more than a feeling, joy is a part of me, a way to feel the presence of God and live from my spirituality. Joy is the anchor that keeps me rooted in peace and wholeness, and the wings that help me soar through the open skies of imagination and choice. My spiritual identity has its foundation in the divine idea of joy, and I carry it with me wherever I go and in everything I do. And from Psalm 16:11, you show me the path of my life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. And so let's take a moment to pray as we center ourselves in that peaceful presence that is not just calm, but is also joyful. The spirit of life, bringing joy, prosperity, abundance, healing, healed relationships, all of it. We are so grateful that this is so. We release this prayer to God for its perfect outworking and say amen.
So I've been trying to write a song with this title for a long time, just in my head, and earlier in the year, finally got it done. Well, it's the thought that counts, and the words you say. Be willing and cheerful. It'll help if you pray. And when you find your dreams, believe with a generous amount. And always remember, my friends, that it's the thought that counts. It's one heart, one mind, one love from the divine, all connected in a beautiful strand. And we're so much more than we understand. And it's the thought that counts, and the words we say. Be present and grateful. We're strongest when we pray, and we find our dreams, believe with a total amount, and always remember that it's the thought that counts. When midnight mountains appear in your way, or blowing storms rage on some troubled day, we'll keep walking your faith. You're gonna come to find your higher powers have multiplied, 'cause it's the thought that counts. Always the thought that counts. Life is a river, life is a hill, life is a road that bends to our will. Time is a story, time's a stage, and time is our thinking on an ever-changing page. Well, you don't have to take my word. This goes back thousands of years. Teachers we all know well, they've made it clear. It's our thought that counts. It's the words we say. Be positive and grateful. We're at our strongest when we pray. And when we find our dreams, believe with a mighty amount. And always remember, it's the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts. Always remember, it's the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts.
Thank you, Brian. Once again, perfect for today's message. I'm not sure if I introduced myself earlier. I am Reverend Jan Mourning. If you don't like the message, I'm Hope Dotson, but otherwise, well, okay. So, sorry, Hope. Today we continue our series that we just started a couple weeks ago on the little book, The Lazarus Blueprint, Ancient Secrets for Healing and Inner Peace by Mary Alice and Richard Jafalo. They're two Unity ministers. From the raising of Lazarus' story, the authors unveil a 6-step universal process for overcoming any life challenge that might seem impossible. And if you don't have any challenges that seem impossible, maybe you should come up and do the lesson, okay? And I'll sit down and listen. Because it's part of our human condition that we do sometimes in this life encounter challenges. And the question is, what do we do with them? What is our thought process around them? And if you haven't already done so, I invite all of us really to think of a serious problem that you're facing right now and just be willing to apply this powerful little blueprint to your life. I've applied it to my life several times, and it really does work. So I warn you, if you haven't been with us the first week, step 1 can seem a little counterintuitive. It is turn away. It's based on the beginning of the story when Jesus hears that his good friend Lazarus is severely ill. And he, instead of running to him, what does he do? Remember, those of you who were here, what does he do? He hangs around for 2 days where he is, on the other side of the Jordan River. And he just waits there. So step 1 shows us that instead of reacting in fear and worry, which is kind of our human default sometimes, we can peacefully turn away from any life challenge. Now, that doesn't mean we forget about the situation. Probably that's not possible. It simply means that we don't dwell on it. We take some time to step back and view it from a higher perspective. It's been said the real joy of discovery lies not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. gaining a different perspective. So, if you're willing to share, how many of you tried turning away from your challenge from 2 weeks ago? How many did? Several people did. How'd it go? Did it work? Sometimes it can be hard, but the point is there is great peace in surrendering your problem to God and just waiting for that divine guidance to come. Excuse me, and come it will. So, we pick up the story when Jesus finally arrives in Bethany to find that Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. Mary says to him, "You could have saved Lazarus, but it is too late. If only you had been here, my brother would not have died." Now, the author suggests that we consider whether we sometimes have the same reaction. They ask, how many times have you tortured yourself with if only? If only fill in the blank. If only I had finished that degree. If only I'd been willing to relocate. If only he or she had not behaved that way, or one that I did hang on to for years. If only I had found unity sooner, things would be different, right? I see some of you shaking your heads. We've all been there, I think. This is called playing the blame game, okay? And we all play it sometimes, looking for something, someone to blame, and sometimes that person is ourselves. It's been said that we sometimes should have on ourselves, and we also should have on others, or should on others, I guess I should say. I say that very carefully, don't I? But at any rate, the Japhalas say, too often we squander our life energy with a litany of if-onlys, and they ask us each to consider, what does this if-only attitude represent in my life? What does it mean to me? And we can learn something, I think, from the army of so-called friends who were coming to console Martha and Mary about their brother. These friends were very quick to blame Jesus. Some of them say, could not he who have opened the eyes of a blind man have kept Lazarus from dying? Different judgment toward Jesus. And their method of consoling the sisters might represent those people in our lives who are always ready to tell us how bad our situation is. Anybody ever experienced that from people? I mean, it's things like, you're applying for a new job at your age? They'll never hire you. Sure, you lost some weight. That's okay, but it'll come bouncing right back. Or you're joining a support group? They'll probably just be a bunch of losers. Awful things that people can say to us. And so when we're facing a life challenge, we don't need friends, in quotes, to remind us how impossible the situation is. That is not helpful at all. We already know. We're already feeling that. The Japhalas say, and I love this quote, it's a little long, but so right now it makes sense to surround yourself with people who are not afraid of spiritual heights, people who view your situation from a higher perspective, and instead of rehashing the problem, can help you concentrate on the solution. So, as we move into step 2, we remember that Unity looks at the Bible metaphysically, and we remember that every event, every place, every character in the story can remind us of an aspect of our spiritual growth. So we don't just appreciate the story, we appreciate what it can do for us in our lives. And as we said last time, if you were with us, the two main characters, of course, are Jesus and Lazarus. Jesus represents the true you, the true you, your Christ nature, life as you desire it to be, your better half, as we might say. And Lazarus represents the current you, the symbol of the problem that needs to be resurrected. So the Japhalas ask us to think about this, and these are some really powerful thoughts and questions. First of all, Jesus, the full expression of the Christ, was absent when Lazarus was failing. He wasn't there. Secondly, the sisters and the crowd believed if only Jesus had been there, the outcome would have been different. So ponder that for a moment, and then they ask us to think about our problem and 2 compelling questions. I'm going to pause in between these to give you a minute to really do that. First of all, was I aligned with my highest nature when this problem began, when it showed up in my life? In other words, was I coming from a position of strength and power? Second question, am I acting from my Christ nature in facing the challenge right here, right now? Am I using all the powers of the Christ to face my challenge? Because when we turn within to the Christ of our being, we see the situation differently. We reclaim the power that we had been giving to the problem. So that's part of this whole blueprint. So interestingly, when Jesus sees Martha and Mary, this is a picture of Mary here, but when he sees them both weeping, he's greatly disturbed, and deeply moved, the text says. And so next we find the shortest verse in the entire New Testament. I think it's in the entire Bible. Does anybody remember what it is? Very good. Jesus wept. That's how much he cared about the sisters. He wept. Then he immediately asks where Lazarus is buried, and he's taken to the burial cave. There he sees the gigantic stone sealing the cave, and he issues an order. He says, "Take away the stone." This is real. When I was in Jerusalem, I still saw the grave sites covered up with these huge stones to keep the animals out. So when Jesus says, "Take away the stone," it's Martha, the practical sister, who says, "Lord, there's a stench," because he's been dead. Yeah, Martha's always practical. He's been dead for 4 days. So from Martha, maybe we learn that what our senses tell us, our eyesight and our ears and all of that, what our senses tell us is one thing, but beyond our senses, there is always a greater spiritual reality, which will unfold as the story goes on. So what can we learn from Jesus here? Notice he shows us great compassion for the sisters, we already said that, yet he refuses to play the blame game. He does not respond in any way to the "if only you were here" questions. He doesn't defend himself, argue, or vacillate. His eyes are on the future solution, not the problematic past. And he refuses to be defined by public opinion. One of my favorite quotes about this you've heard before is from Reverend Michael Beckwith, who says, take a deep breath, this is a high bar. He says, when we are fully spiritually evolved, we will no longer be impressed by people's praise, nor diminished by their criticism. Wow, right? Wow. So the Japhalas tell us this stone that Jesus orders to be rolled away is no pebble. It took a large boulder to block the opening of that cave. And obviously some muscle was required to move it. But facing what most would call an impossible, if not a grisly situation, Jesus stands firm and faithful. There is nothing tentative about his request. He doesn't say to the crowd, "Do you all think you could possibly move that stone for me?" Not at all. He gives a direct command, and I would like for you to say it with me, with feeling. He gives the direct command. Ready? Roll away the stone. And this is step 2 of the Lazarus process. Roll away the stone. The authors call this a critical step, and it really is a critical step. They say, get rid of that huge roadblock standing in the way of overcoming whatever it is you need to overcome. Obviously, if anything is going to restore Lazarus, it's not going to happen as long as he's sealed in that cave, is it? Nor can anything be done to restore our own lives to wholeness as long as a massive stone blocks our path. So the key is for each of us to discover the meaning of our personal stone. It calls every one of us to answer the question, what does the stone represent in my life? What is embedded in my consciousness that needs to be rolled away in order for me to live free? Like the huge stone in the story, your stone is likely much bigger than your actual challenge. I'm finding that out as I've been working the last 2 weeks with mine, which I'll talk more about next week. But you are the only person, each of us is the only person who knows what that huge boulder represents for us. The Jafala is right. For starters, you need to know right now, and you've heard this before, the stone is not another situation or person in your life. It never is. It's not the illness, the financial collapse, the abusive relationship, or the loss. The stone is not the situation itself. It is something within you, within all of us. The important thing is the life that can be yours cannot unfold until this roadblock, this mindset is rolled away. And once you identify your stone, the whole outer situation starts to shift. So your challenge, really, your life challenge, is a reflection of some aspect of your life in a dark cave. And it could be an issue from your past that's choking you, that was never resolved, a memory that just haunts you. The authors write, maybe at some point in your life you may have decided on an unconscious level to confine your problem, to wall it off, to escape the pain. I've done that. I bet a lot of us have done that. And what happens? You simply, maybe let's use an example. Let's say you roll away a broken heart from a relationship. Well, okay, you might protect your pain for a little bit, but you know what you've done? You created a stone that blocks you from the opportunity of a new loving relationship. And so really, it doesn't do us any good. As Jim Rome says, and I love this quote, the walls we build around us to keep the sadness out also keep out the joy. Our walls also keep us from being open to new possibility. There's the quote. The walls we build around us to keep sadness out also keeps out the joy and the future possibilities. So, identifying your stone is the key to freedom. Your stone might represent a strong error belief, an attitude or habit that's keeping you from expressing your true Christ nature. It may be related to what, if you're with us, to what you released in the burning bowl. It might be bigger than what you released in the burning bowl, but it might be related. But Jephalas remind us that whatever your stone turns out to be, and here's a clue, it will always be tied to a strong emotion. We've said before that our emotions are messengers. They kind of tell us what's going on in our inner world. And so if you don't experience, they say, if you don't experience strong feeling attached to what you think is the stone, it's simply not the stone. So you're going to get that emotional reaction. And many, not everybody, but many discover that our stone is forgiveness, embedded in the cave of our consciousness. That's why Jesus talked about forgiveness so many times. It leaves us in resentment, anger, guilt, shame, and blame. Lucy says, I'll never get over it, never. And you know what? She won't. It's the thought, right? It's the thought that counts. And Nelson Mandela said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. So true. So, for many of us, it may be forgiveness. Forgiveness is called the highest state of self-abuse. It affects spirit, mind, and body. Another quote that many of us have heard, not forgiving is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that's another great truth. It doesn't hurt the other person at all. They might not even know about it, but it can destroy ourselves. And here's another really interesting thing. Unforgiveness broadcasts a signal to the universe that what someone else has said, what someone else has done or left undone, has caused a lack in you. Think about that. Somehow you're believing what the person has said to you. And the spiritual truth is there is no lack in you. You are not flawed. And anyone who tells you you are is just mistaken. That's all. They're mistaken and we don't have to listen to them. You are, we all are, created in the image and likeness of God, whole and free, no exceptions. And here's a good question. Who's the number one person you have to forgive? You're right. Ourselves. A lot of you are pointing. Ourselves. We all make mistakes. We all hurt others. And we have all failed to live from the Christ our Christ nature. The problem is that we don't realize that we are more than what we have done. We are more than what we have said. I just found this, actually, I think yesterday. Inspirational author Alan Cohen tells a story in his book, A Daily Dose of Sanity, about a time that he was taking a class that was leading to great inner introspection, really, thinking about himself. So one day he grabbed the mic and got up in front of 300 students and said, "I am a phony. I have done many selfish things. I harbor negative judgments. I have pain in my relationships. I try to look better than I am, and I lie about certain things. I am a phony." The facilitator grabbed the microphone from him. It was Hilda Charlton, and she followed his confession with this: "Yes, Alan, you are a phony, but not in the way you think. Not in the way you think. You think that your human frailties are really what you are, and what you really are is a perfect and beautiful child of God." The Jafalas say, forgiving ourselves means we live in a world larger than our guilt and pain. It's really important. And another common stone, we've looked at this before, and this is, I think, often the source of unforgiveness. It is lack of self-worth. It's that I can't mindset that Reverend Eric Butterworth calls cantitude. I love that. I can't because I'm not smart enough. I can't because I'm not worthy, not lovable, not young enough, whatever it is. It's also called the terrible twos, the adult terrible twos. I am too weak, too ill, too old, too young, too busy, too unprepared. Again, fill in the blank. So the question of the day, and maybe the question of a lifetime, I think, is, are you willing to honestly and courageously search your mind and heart with courage and honesty to identify your stone? Obviously, unless you identify it, you cannot roll it away. It will stay in your life. And the Jafalas say that this rolling away thing could be quick, or it could take some patience and time. So, sometimes our stone is so deeply embedded in the cave of our subconscious that we have a really hard time bringing it to light. I used to be a middle school teacher, and we had a wonderful outdoor education program where we took the kids to camp for a whole week at that YMCA of the Ozarks. And one of the best, most favorite experiences was to go through the Mark Twain National Forest to this natural cave. And, I'm talking no lights, no rowboats, no signs, nothing, So we got the kids into the first cavern, and everybody had flashlights, of course. As I said, no lights. And at one point, we kind of warned them, and we said, okay, I said, I'm going to count to 3. And at the count of 3, I want everybody in the group to turn off your flashlight. And they did that. And honestly, that was the greatest darkness I have ever experienced. We would have them put their hands out and bring it to their face, and you could not, you'd hit your nose before you really realized that your hand was at your face. Now, this is going to sound a little weird, but personally, I found a great beauty in that total darkness. I really did. And so sometimes our dark opportunities, I think, our dark times can be opportunities for us to pause and listen to that still small voice. Of course, we're not cave salamanders, right? So eventually we want to come out of the cave into the light. And how do we do that? Well, obviously, what we do is exactly what we asked the kids to do back then. We asked them to turn on the light, in that case, their flashlights. Because here's the truth, you carry your flashlight inside of you. The light of truth within always dispels the darkness. Jesus told us, you are the light of the world. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Don't hide your light in a dark cave. The Jafalas suggest one of the best and most effective ways to identify your stone is to sit quietly for several minutes each day and sincerely from your heart allow your subconscious mind to speak to you and reveal what your stone is. We're going to start that today in meditation. And you know what? You might be surprised at what you discover. It might be something that you really were not conscious of. During the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." Now, in our human skins, it's a little tough to be perfect all the time, to behave perfectly, right? However, in the early Greek, the word perfect was translated as teleos, and it simply meant whole and complete. So in the Lazarus story, Jesus is showing us that when we accept our spiritual inheritance of wholeness and oneness, we are able to let anything less than that be rolled away. Claiming the power of God, we find strength far beyond our human ability. And so the authors tell us that we too can issue an order to remove the stone from our lives. You might say, I could never forgive him or her for cheating on me. Yes, you can. You might say, I can never get over how I acted. Yes, you can. Roll away the stone of shame and guilt. Roll away the stone of how you acted. The opening to the cave is both an entrance and an exit. Jesus approaches the tomb of Lazarus filled with unshakable trust and faith that something powerful will take place. He knows it, he believes it, he makes it happen. And keep in mind that you are working with the same Christ power that Jesus called upon. Align your self-talk with what is spiritually true. And I'd like you to do that, start that today with affirming this with me. I am worthy of love, joy, and peace. Say it with me, please. I am worthy of love, joy, and peace. Secondly, I can, and I will remove the stone blocking my good. Together, I can and I will remove the stone blocking my good. So I hope that we can all set the intention this morning to discover, uncover, and remove our stones in order to move through the next steps of the Lazarus Blueprint, which we'll do the next few weeks. And also, more importantly, in order to live a life of joy and peace and freedom that we were created to live. Removing that stone, we become open and receptive to God's divine flow, and our lives are absolutely transformed. And so it is. So let's take just a moment now to affirm together the great truth that's being affirmed in Unity churches all over the world, actually, that makes all of this possible. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and at work in my life. God, the good, omnipotent, and so it is.
In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
And so now I invite you to close your outer eyes if you have not already done so. Just take a deep restorative breath. Hold it for a few seconds and then exhale. And as you relax your body, still your mind, and just be in the presence of God. Take another deep breath, moving deeper into that inner place of pure peace, pure light, and pure divine love. And as you release your breath this time, just release anything that is keeping you from being fully present in this now moment. In this sacred time, know love is there, peace is there, God is there. And so as you continue now to breathe normally, open your heart and call upon your inner wisdom to identify the meaning of your stone. In the stillness of this quiet moment, ask the God of your being to reveal to you what the self-created stone is about and how it is blocking the cave of your consciousness. Search your heart for any unforgiveness, resentment, blame, fear, feelings of limitation or lack that have created a barrier to the life you desire. The word desire means from God, from the Father. Divine will for you is ever unfolding good. Mentally affirm to yourself, I am one with the Most High. I am worthy. I am loved. I open my heart now to discover the stone that is blocking my way. My inner wisdom reveals this to me in the perfect time. In your mind's eye, just see Jesus approaching the tomb of Lazarus with that unshakable trust that something powerful is taking place. Right here, right now, this is true with you. Something powerful is taking place. Something powerful is helping you remove any barriers between you and good health, between you and prosperity, between you and a loving relationship, between you and peace and joy. And nothing can happen until you move the barrier out of the way. So it's your turn now to follow Jesus. In the silence, say to yourself in full confidence and joyous expectation, I open my mind and heart to discover the stone that is blocking my path. And once I have done that, I have the courage and strength to roll it away. In the silence, for a few moments, listen carefully to that still small voice within you. And so now, still in prayer, just know that whatever your stone is, whether you have already discovered it or whether you are waiting for it to be revealed, it is not the truth of your being. It is not aligned with your spiritual identity. Therefore, it must be rolled away. Bridget Nicole said, one of the most courageous decisions you will ever make is to let go of what is hurting your own heart and soul. And so now, as we come together as a greater spiritual community, those of us in the sanctuary and those out in the world, we are so grateful for the insight and guidance to live from our Christ nature, to be the love and peace of God on this earth. And we joyfully say, thank you, God. Amen.
His face is red and windburned. His eyes stare straight ahead. the rock that blocks the tomb, where his friend is lying dead. There's crying all around him. They all think he's come too late. But Jesus lifts his arm up, pointing at the rock to say, roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Come forth and be alive. Step into the light. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Declare this on your own. Call down the wall. Jericho will fall. Roll away the stone. Lately, I've been running, maybe my whole life through. It's like something is blocking everything I'll hope to do. But we all know a higher power, but it's just a tap away. Tapping to remind us of the words we have to say. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Move out into the light. Run into the light. Roll away the stone. Throw those windows open wide. Come forth and be alive. Leave the chains behind. Step into the light. Roll away the stone. They'd been thwarted and distorted in darkness like a shroud. She says, this is not the light. And he says, this is not the sound. And if this isn't why we're living, well, let's begin again right now. Somehow we got lost, but we're ready to be found. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Life is filled with light, every moment burning bright. Roll away the stone. Throw the windows open wide. Come forth and be alive. Drop the chains and step outside. Every moment burning bright. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Yeah, declare this on your own. Call out the wall. Jericho will fall. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. Just roll away the stone.
That was beautiful. You can always re-listen to that if you want to see the YouTube video, if you need help rolling away your stone. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you so much. And thank you, Steve Schenkel, for all the work you do and for bringing so many talented musicians here, including yourself. We appreciate you also. So now it's that time in our service where we just get to pause and reflect and give thanks for our many blessings, personal blessings and also those from our church. So we are really grateful for all of you who are supporting us financially, just helping us to enrich more and more lives through prayer, education, and service. If you're in the sanctuary, there's a box in the back for tithes and offerings in the middle of the the aisle there. Streamers, if you've been enriched by our service, we invite you to give via Apple Pay, Google Pay, or PayPal. Just hit the donate button on the unitystl.org site or on the YouTube channel. We made it easier for you to find this week. So know that we are all one with divine source and each other. Please join me in blessing our many gifts. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And now, if you're willing and able, I invite everybody to stand for our prayer for protection. And we use the extended form of this that celebrates the power of God and our own divine essence. So together, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. The presence indwells us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you all for joining us today. You may remain standing. We just look forward to seeing you again next week, either in-house or online. And if you would like to come to the Unity 101 conversation, everyone is welcome in the adult classroom at 12 noon. And if you are a first-time guest, you will find guest welcome packets on the table as you go out. Have a blessed week, everybody.
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God, you are every sunrise. God, you are every moon glow. God, you are every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every springtime. God, you are every snowfall. God, you are every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are the very breath I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.